Hi there, you're getting this video from me. This means that you're about to apply for a loan and I have lots of questions. I tend to be more proactive these days and asking a lot more details than we did before because consumers are being very proactive about their credit and knowing more about their credit and consumers than before when I first started about 25 years ago. So with all these online options of freezing, opting out, or getting PIN numbers, or a lot of other fraudulent freezing account, things like that. So then now we need to understand what's going on before we get into the loan. Because what I do not know will also not help or harm in our case. So our communication really needs to be open and transparent. So I understand that you as a consumer, and we all understand that you as a consumer, have options with freezing our credit report. We freeze our credit report because there's something going on with fraud or identity theft. So when a consumer wishes to prevent any third party from accessing the credit files, the Bureau will provide, back then it's a cost, now fall 2018, coming soon, there are no more costs to freeze the account. When I say your account, meaning your credit report with all three bureaus, the Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian. And this freeze will prevent any unauthorized inquiries, people pulling your credit. And this is very good to protect yourself. There's a double-edged sword though. Let's understand this. When a security freeze is added to a credit report, all third parties, including credit lenders, will not be able to access your credit report without your consent. In addition, while the credit report is frozen, companies that provide consumer data to credit bureaus, such as your updated name, address, marriage name, where you relocated to, is not being reported either. So before we unfreeze it, let's chit-chat a little bit here. Let's understand this. Nothing has changed since the last time you've updated. So let's say you tell me you gave me an address that you're living at apartment unit A. In your file it says current address is actually at 123. So when you do an application, we need to understand that so it doesn't look like, hey, you're telling me you have two addresses currently when actually you froze that information a few years ago, a few months ago. That's the first part. The other part is that nothing has changed. The other part is that the credit card that you're using right now, let's say you already had it before the freeze, it's really good. You're paying on time. If it's late, that's when they report when it's late. But it does not give other information as well, like as in when the activity date, the time that it was active versus the non-active duration. So sometime when, let's say pretend like you did back in January was the last time you froze it, and now we're in June. So that's 6 months of gap. They will still report when you're late, but it doesn't give you credit for that 6 month of gap of being active. Remember, the long term, the longer the activity of that account, the better your credit score can increase because you had that card for a while, for a long period of time. And it goes from 12 months, 24 months, or sometime 3 years, 5 years, etc. So, to give you an example, sometime when you're applying for a mortgage loan, they said that they need at least 12 months of active account, but you froze it 6 months ago, then the account is only good for 6 months and not 12. So that hopefully that clears that up. In addition, when you freeze the account and or opt out, and you need to know about the opt out pre-screen, then go to the other video for that. It also prevents the credit card company the ability to pull your credit. You know that little piece of paper, that little booklet that they give you on the thin paper? In there it tells you that they have the right to pull your credit once a month to review if they want to adjust your interest rate, make your payment higher, lower, or even close out your account if there's a default or just being late. So in that little booklet, they will tell you if they can and when they will pull your credit. By having it freeze or opt out, then they cannot no longer doing that. Pros and cons to that as well. So before you're applying for this mortgage loan, we will ask you to unfreeze those accounts. Before you unfreeze, make sure that there's no collectors looking for you. Make sure there's nobody trying to put some information on your credit. We will unfreeze to pull credit for the credit loan, mortgage loan, until we have a full approval. After you're done, you can refreeze. Why is it so important that I'm sharing this with you now? I had an incident not too long ago where the borrower, did not inform me the account was froze. So when I pulled the credit out of the 3 bureau, I only had 1 score. With that 1 score, it's not enough for us to get an approval. We need to have at least 2 or 3, or we have to go through a totally different program. The person should not go into a different program with a higher rate if we knew that they had other possibilities. So the person unfroze their account, and I was able to pull in credit, except this time all the collectors were looking for him. It wasn't him. That's why he froze in the first place. Then now we have to go dispute all that account. We want to dispute that account in the beginning to let them know do not to put it in. And that's why we ask you to go through those free credit places to get those report and to resolve that prior to unfreezing the account. So if that's the situation, let's chit chat about that first. If you did froze your account, let us know prior to. Part 2, let's say you froze it and you lost your PIN number, because you know that as having that account frozen, the bureau will give you the PIN number. It's really important to have that PIN number. If you lose it, it's so hard to track back. It's a long process. And that's the whole point, is to prevent any kind of identity theft or someone to go into your account. I will put all those information for how to lift, to remove your account with that website into our description below, and I'll do a separate video for if you lost your PIN number when you want to unfreeze your account. I hope this information helped, and if you have any questions, let's chit chat a little bit more before I pull credit. Thank you so much. Have a good one.